In a distant realm, a happy royal family lived. The monarch, queen, and their 12 children, 11 princes and 1 princess. The 11 princes were all intelligent and accomplished, and their younger sister was stunning. Her hair was blonde, her eyes were brown, and her grin was bright as the sun. The queen grew very ill one day. Despite the fact that everyone took wonderful care of her, she died. The king wanted to remarry, but he married a terrible witch as his bride. The queen began to show her unkindness the very first day, for they were turned into 11 beautiful wild swans.
Go out into the world and look after yourselves.
She hurried away from the castle and into the dark woodland, terrified. Princess Eliza discovered a modest cottage in the wilderness, where a family welcomed her and reared her well. Eliza matured into a lovely young lady. She encountered an old lady in the forest and asked her if she had not seen 11 princes riding through the forest.
No, but I saw yesterday 11 swans with gold crowns on their heads, swimming in the river close by.
When the sun was about to set, Eliza saw 11 white swans with golden crowns on their heads, flying toward the land. As soon as the sun had disappeared under the water, the feathers of the swans fell off, and 11 beautiful princes, Eliza's brothers, stood near her. The princes were very happy to see their little sister again. They knew her, although she had grown so tall and beautiful. They laughed and wept and told each other how cruelly they had been treated by their stepmother. The next morning, the princes transformed into 11 lovely swans, transporting the small princess across the ocean by net. The princess slept on the net, and in her dreams she encountered the old lady once more. Eliza inquired as to how she might assist her brothers in resuming human form. The old lady said,
"You must go and pick the tamarind tree outside the cemetery, and your hands will swell up and hurt terribly. Then you must take the broken branch and get a type of thorny vine that you will use to weave 11 long-sleeved shirts. After weaving, you must put each shirt on one of the 11 swans, and thus the spell will be broken. But this is the most severe prohibition. From the beginning of weaving until the end, you must not say a word. If you say even one word, that word will be like a knife that stabs through the hearts of your brothers."
So she bruised the nettles with her bare feet and spun it into the material from the dream. One coat was already finished, and she had begun the second when she heard a huntsman's horn and was taken with fear. As the sound came nearer and nearer, she also heard dogs barking and fled into the cave. The handsomest of them was the king of the country, who, when he saw the beautiful maiden, came toward her, saying,
"How did you come here, my sweet child? You cannot stay here. If you are as good as you are beautiful, I will dress you in silk and velvet. I will place a golden crown on your head."
He galloped away over the mountains, holding her in front of him on his horse, and the hunters followed behind. As the sun went down, they came to a beautiful royal city. Then the king said he wanted to marry her, but the bishop shook his head and whispered that the fair young maiden was only a witch who had blinded the king and trapped his heart. But when she began the 7th, she found she had run out of the nettle material. She knew that the nettles she wanted to use grew in the churchyard, and that she must pluck them herself. She prayed silently, gathered the burning nettles, and carried them home with her to the castle. One person only had seen her, and that was the bishop. He was awake while others slept. Now he felt sure that his suspicions were correct. Secretly, he told the king what he had seen and what he feared. The king turned away his head and said,
"The bishop must be right. She must be a witch."
They quickly decided she was to come to her end at the stake. Away from the royal hall, she was led to a dark cell, where the wind whistled through the iron bars. Toward evening, she heard at the bars of her prison the flutter of a swan's wing. It was her youngest brother. He had found his sister, for in this night she knew she must finish her job. Otherwise, all her pain and tears and sleepless nights would have been no use. Now all the people came from the city to see the witch burned. Even on the way to death, she would not give up her task. The 10 finished coats lay at her feet. She was working hard at the 11th. At that moment, 11 wild swans flown over her, as she quickly threw the 11 coats over the 11 swans. They immediately became 11 handsome princes, but the youngest swan's wing instead of an arm, for she had not been able to finish the last sleeve of the coat, said the eldest brother, and told everyone everything that had taken place.
Yes, she is innocent.
While he spoke, the beautiful smell of 1,000,000 roses appeared. This flower the king plucked, and when he placed on Eliza, she woke up with peace and happiness in her heart. Then all the church bells rang of themselves, and the birds came in great flocks. And then marriage parades such as nobody has ever before seen returned to the castle, where the king and Eliza lived in happiness for the rest of their lives.